this is a new segment that I'm doing here on True Crime Squad that will also then air over on the Trials channel, our Trials channel, called the True Crime Squad Trials Look Back. And I thought
Hmm.
occasionally it might be interesting to go back over a trial, talk a little bit about what happened in that trial, and introduce you to the convicted defendant.
Hmm.
And I thought no one better to start with than Darrell Brooks, because if there is a trial to look back on, it is his trial. So,
Spinster said jump scare. Definitely.
right, sorry. This is Darrell Brooks. He looked like this with the judge a whole lot. Let me tell you a little bit about
This
Darrell
trial was the
Brooks.
damnedest thing most of us had ever seen until Robert
Oh,
Tejas came along. But
yeah,
carry on.
yes, absolutely. Don't worry, Tejas is in the works. So unfortunately, here is the case against him. On November 21st of 2021, Darrell Brooks drove a red SUV through the annual Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin. He'd had a domestic incident earlier in the day with his spouse, Erica. And then what was alleged is that he intentionally sped through barricades and into parade participants and spectators.
Yeah.
He just drove through a parade of people, including children
Yep.
and the elderly. He killed 6 people and injured dozens more, something like 49, I think.
The thought of doing
Um,
something so
it's
large scale evil, my God.
it's so hideous. It is so hideous and unbelievably sad. The destruction that he carried out in a something like a 7-minute period,
Because he was having a
where
tantrum because he had a fight with his girlfriend.
yeah, because he beat up his girlfriend. He was mad, and then he
Hmm.
just did this. He is quite a person.
Hmm.
Some of the major highlights of his trial. The main one is that he fired his public defenders and chose to represent himself.
Hmm.
Yes, he was pro se in his trial. Judge Jennifer Dorow, who is an absolute hero of a judge getting through this trial and has actually become quite well known for that, and you'll see why soon, warned him repeatedly that this would not be a good idea. This is a multi homicide, mass casualty event, and he really should have some attorneys on his side.
Hmm.
And the problem is, Darrell is a sovereign citizen,
Oh, for God's sake.
for better or worse. Yes.
Hmm.
So here were his main claims. The court lacked jurisdiction over him, guys.
Yeah.
Hello? Have we not heard that
You
a
guys
million
can't
times?
tell me I can't drive my car through a parade full of people.
Right. Yeah. I don't consent to your jurisdiction, that kind of dumb
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, he did not consent to the proceedings. He did not consent to be being charged and put on trial for this. Listen, buddy, you don't have to consent to that. That's not how it works. And then he tried to do that thing where he's not the legal entity named in the charges,
Oh, yes. Hmm.
like he's the representative of the human being known as Darrell Brooks, or that shit.
Yeah,
We've
but
heard it
he's not
before. It's
really
so
Darrell Brooks.
so
Or
dumb,
it's
but he's not really Darrell
capitalized and he's
Brooks.
not capitalized, or, yeah, all the
Yeah, and it was a bunch
ridiculous.
of bullshit, as
Yeah.
those cases always are. Um, so this trial was insane because Brooks is representing himself,
Hmm.
and he refuses to recognize the jurisdiction of the court, blah blah blah. He's also the rudest, most disrespectful human being on the planet. He is incredibly rude to everyone. He talks over the judge, over the prosecutor, witnesses, you name it, he's talking over them.
Hmm.
And this trial was very interesting because Jennifer Darrow was dogged in her attempt to give him a fair trial without putting up with his nonsense.
Hmm.
So some things that happened. Um, for a period of time, they had to mute his microphone. so that when it wasn't his turn to talk, he couldn't talk because he
Mm-hmm.
would just talk over, the prosecutor would be questioning a witness and he's just mumbling into his,
Yeah. Won't stop talking.
grounds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have subject matter jurisdiction? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're going to see some videos. So, when that didn't work, they moved him to his very own courtroom
Mm-hmm.
where he and a bailiff were in that room. And for a while, they had the sound on in there and learned very quickly that they were not going to be able to have the sound on in there. So the judge could hear him like in an earpiece, but the courtroom couldn't hear him. They
Mm-hmm.
could see him on a screen. And then he would wave or hold up a sign that said objection.
The
It's like
signs
watching a
killed
cartoon of a
me.
trial. He would have these signs. Uh, he was warned he was going to be held in contempt over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had to stop court. This trial took forever
Oh,
because
ever.
she would have to stop everything, make a legal argument about why she was ruling against him for this or that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it went on and on and on. She was so very careful and she was very patient with him. Like, ma'am, you deserve a medal for this patient with him. And
Mm-hmm.
she was absolutely just determined to not let him derail the trial because ultimately I think that's what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
Just trying to behave so outrageously that, he would have that the trial wouldn't be able to go forward, that they'd have to
Mm-hmm.
get a new jury.
Well, he's got
And she
nothing else
just,
to do.
right, he doesn't and nothing else to lose because he was held liable for 76 felonies in this case. It's almost 1,000 years in jail
Yeah.
is what they gave him
Right. Well, and he was
ultimately.
already had been in trouble.
Oh
And
yeah, and then
he was a
faced more
registered
trouble
sex
after.
offender, and yeah.
Yes. Yeah. One of his things would be that anytime the prosecution objected to any of his questioning, because he's questioning witnesses, if you can imagine this,
Mm-hmm.
he would yell, grounds,
Yeah.
which, by the way, is not his job to do at all. That would be the judge's job, but he did it constantly. Interrupting witnesses, arguing with the judge, glaring at the jurors. At one point, he actually took his shirt off in court. And then another time, he built a fort of banker's boxes around himself, so that in his own private courtroom, you could only see the top of his head. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
see some video of that. Just insane, especially because my God, this is the murder of 6 people and the serious maiming of like 50 more. I mean, the subject matter is in no way funny at all, but his behavior was beyond anything I have seen in a courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so this trial went viral very quickly. We did not stream it, but Katie, I think you discovered it, and then we started
Mm-hmm.
talking about it and sharing clips and stuff about it because it was like I've never seen anything like this in my
No. We
life.
were glued. We were glued to this case. Yeah.
Yeah, because in spite of all of his bullshit, they carried out a complete and successful trial.
Mm-hmm.
Which really, I mean, Judge Darrow just deserves it all.
I cannot think of
And
a judge that deserves more props than her for putting
yeah,
up with this. Yeah.
well, and it was a brutal trial to watch
Yeah.
because of all of the victim testimony.
Mm-hmm. And the way
So
he
many.
disrespected and discounted the victims who were literally pointing at him,
Yes.
going, "It was this guy driving
Yeah.
the
Talking
SUV."
directly to him. I saw you hit me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And he's just pulling all his bullshit in the midst of
Mm-hmm.
it. And, people talking about their injuries and how,
Their
some
dead
of them are permanently
children.
disabled. And
Yeah.
yes, dead children, how the long term trauma, how many of them experience really serious PTSD
Mm-hmm.
from this, and just and many families who lost multiple family members,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
who either lost or had seriously injured multiple people in their families, because this was like
Mm-hmm.
a Christmas parade 4 days before Christmas, and so
Yeah.
people got their
Oh.
little kids at this parade to see Santa. It's that kind of a
Mm-hmm.
parade.
Well, there was a cheerleading squad that was particularly right in the
Yes.
middle of where he came through and killed a whole bunch of kids on this cheerleading squad.
Yeah.
Horrible, and injured. Yeah.
And injured, and so many of them are like permanently disabled, injured.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. They had so much evidence against this dumbass that it was just stunning. Surveillance footage,
Yeah.
parade live stream recordings, so many witnesses who literally saw his face as he was driving his vehicle through the crowd. The police pursuit, in pursuit of him after the domestic incident.
The vehicle, who I believe belonged to his mother, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Like, he
And then
didn't have
even
shit because he was in and out of jail his whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he didn't. And even his own statements after arrest. I mean, there was just no reason for this to ever even have to go to trial, let alone go to trial pro se, other than this guy lacks attention.
And these are his rights, so he had to get to do it. But holy.
Yeah. So I've got some video here of some of his antics in court. Let's take a look at what old Darrell Brooks was up to in court.
The bailiff could confirm, well, he put him on top, he put him on the floor. That's his right.
Alexa,
they're not
stop.
in front of him, but it's by his own conduct that he's done that. The record should reflect Mr. Brooks is muted because he wants to continue to debate with this court about my prior rulings regarding his forfeiture by conduct of his right to present further evidence on his behalf. I know one of the things I probably need to look at, I'm not sure if Madam Clerk did this or not, would be the language from the amendment from the amended information on count 70.
This is, they're going through jury instructions. Count 70. Yeah, there were 76 counts. So this is what Mr. Brooks is doing over in his own super special courtroom while they're doing jury instructions. Watch what he does here.
No, I don't want to do that. Oh, you don't? I changed, hold on. 76. The 76 count. Just want to make. It says near Frame Park, so it is in there. But that was just one question I had.
Here we go.
All right.
Building himself his own little fort, his own little banker box fort, and then you can only see the top of his head, and the judge cannot see him at this point.
Mr. Brooks is requesting to go back to his cell. At this point, I'm going to deny that request. He can remain in the other courtroom.
Well, then listen to why she knows he's requesting that, because see, in here we can't hear anything that he's saying or doing, right?
I know he's muted, but I can certainly hear him from this side. He appears to be yelling at the top of his lungs. I can't decipher what he's yelling.
Yeah.
Call yourself a judge as much as
Here we go.
Put up in here. Don't even tell the jury the truth. Got no integrity whatsoever. None.
No integrity, says the man who did what he did.
Yeah.
None.
And he's just muttering. He's always moving all of his junk
Thank you,
around
everyone. Please
and
be
muttering.
seated. I would like an update on whether Mr. Brooks filled out a subpoena for Don Woods and provided that to the state. Has that been done?
No, we haven't received anything, Your Honor, and obviously she can appear here voluntarily if Mr. Brooks wants to arrange that. I don't believe a subpoena is necessary. We had subpoenaed her, and she was under state subpoena. So I know that at least some point she had noticed.
He refused to follow through with just the very basic of like trial rules that he had to do. Like he was constantly trying to put witnesses on the stand that he had not subpoenaed and that weren't even at court. And it was significantly worse than Lori Vallow, who actually did most of her paperwork, right? Not all of it, obviously, but she did it a little more consistently than this dude did. He just wouldn't participate at all.
But our position would be, Your Honor, that we will not be responsible in any fashion for producing Miss Woods' Mr. Brooks talks to her on a daily basis. If he wants her here, he can produce her on Monday.
Yeah, they ain't got to worry about that.
So I just wanted to know, because I know a subpoena form was filled out.
If
So
I want her to be here, she gonna be here.
I agree with
So
the state
just know
that
that.
She could certainly appear.
It ain't even got to be no arrangement. All I gotta say is come. She gonna come.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she just jumps when you say jump,
simple.
right?
Mr. Brooks, do you intend to call her as a witness? Because I'm directing you to
We
have
said-
her
we
here
said
at
all
9
that-
a.m.
We said all that at the beginning, man. Like, I don't even want to be in here that much longer. Just do what you got to do so I can get up out of here. I'm tired of being in the courtroom that has no integrity whatsoever. How can you even call yourself a
Mr.
judge?
Brooks, I need to make a record of some
I need to
things.
make a record too.
You don't
When
need
am
to-
I going to get the chance to do that?
All right, I need to make a record. He's being removed to the other courtroom. He is yelling at me. He's not going to let me make a statement or make the record that I need to make.
I'm finna
He
leave
hasn't
anyway,
sat
so
down
what do it
for
matter? You
the
can
better
hold me
part
in
of 2
contempt all
hours.
you want. You can hold me in contempt all you want.
I'm not
All
holding
you
you in
gotta do is tell me
contempt.
if it's criminal or civil, so I can hit
Right.
you with you.
I need to
with
clear
what you
the
know is
courtroom because
coming.
I do need
I'm
to
gonna
make-
give you what you know is coming.
I need him to go to the
If
other
it's civil-
courtroom because I do need to put some
if
things
it's
on the
civil,
record. The record should
Where's the
reflect
contract between you and I?
that Mr. Brooks
If it's
is
criminal,
yelling at me.
what is the crime?
He is.
Who makes the claim? And what
He
is
is. I will make the record when we get back. I will step off, but Mr. Brooks, you're being
It ain't
taken
no,
to the next
Mr.
courtroom.
Brooks. Don't try to address me
Thank
like
you.
that, like we cool. You don't have no integrity. How can you even call yourself a judge? Making tacit agreements, being biased, judicial misconduct, trying to steal somebody's subject matter jurisdiction?
Okay, here we
Written
go.
decision that I previously.
Subject matter jurisdiction
Mm-hmm.
is one of his biggest beefs.
He
That
says
she
it
doesn't
40
have-
billion times.
At least 40 billion, over and over and over and over again.
And also, when
And-
asked, he doesn't know what that means.
He's just making shit up.
Mhm.
And you know, most certainly this is a state case and she's the judge who has jurisdiction over this case. And
Mhm.
beyond that, he just is making shit up. But this was the song that never ended throughout the whole trial. Subject matter jurisdiction.
entered is what I will stand on. I'm not going to address it any
Is that-
further.
Can we address subject matter jurisdiction and still has to be proven for the record?
I decline to do so.
Is that including verified proof that you have subject matter jurisdiction? Because it has yet to be verified or proven.
Mr. Brooks, you keep making that statement, but it's a misstatement of the requirements in the law.
So it doesn't have to be
You are
proven?
going to get a written decision. That's how I'm addressing this. And then I'm going to have the jury brought out and just providing courtesy copies to the parties as I had an opportunity to finalize that over the break.
I accept for value and return for value this document.
Thank you for noting that. All right, bring the jury out.
Not if I'm not allowed to face my accuser, Your Honor. My accuser in this matter would be...
He thinks that his accuser is the state of Wisconsin because that's who filed the charges against him. And so he tries to subpoena the state of Wisconsin.
Mhm.
Is a big wheel of cheese going to come and testify? Like, what does that mean?
Mhm.
Like, literally, he thinks, I don't know if he thinks it's the governor, of what, but he doesn't.
Or if he just
he-
thinks it's his mic drop moment that, of course,
Right,
one
yeah.
produced the state, so therefore he walks free.
And unfortunately, in his trial, he did face many of his accusers, the
Mhm.
ones who lived and were well enough to testify.
Mhm.
But this was this was a big deal that he was sure he was winning it with this whole thing, with
Mhm.
subpoenaing the state of Wisconsin.
Mhm.
Think about it. If your state was subpoenaed, what would show up to court? Who or what? I mean, ours would be a big potato,
Apparently.
probably.
Giant tater tot. Who
Uh,
knows?
Wisconsin, a big roll of cheese, a big wheel of cheese. I don't know. I do not know. But yeah, he was sure that he was really his constitution. And he doesn't say constitutional rights, he says constitutional, which
Mhm.
is really two different things if you think about it. But he is always wanting his constitutional.
Mhm.
I'm like, do they not ever take this man to the bathroom? I don't know. But he does talk a lot about that.
the state of Wisconsin. And with all
Sir,
due
I believe your
respect,
Sixth Amendment rights in that regard have been complied with.
I'm requesting a written judicial finding of fact and conclusion of law on this issue for the grounds that I just stated. it was seen based on the Sixth Amendment that I'm not being awarded the chance to face my accuser, which I should be awarded that based on the Sixth Amendment. If I'm not able to face my accuser, then how can the claim even stand? How can a claim be brought against my client if I'm not able to face the accuser?
His
No,
client.
that's
Client.
Wisconsin.
Who is,
Browns.
himself.
Browns.
Him.
Sustained.
So it will be also fair to state that you are not an injured party in this matter, correct?
Objection asked and answered.
Browns.
Sustained.
Are you aware what a plaintiff is?
Objection relevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor. You're trying to coerce me into violating my right to remain silent. How can you coerce?
He was constantly saying grounds and then wanting her grounds for her ruling, which judges don't have to give.
No.
And she tried to explain to him in a hearing where the jury wasn't there that it could hurt his case for her to explain why she was sustaining the objection. But he just did that over and over again. And he would yell grounds often before the prosecutor even got the whole statement out of their mouth. Like, it was just chaos. Oh, you guys came through in a big way, though. I love this.
Yes.
It would be a big beehive would show up for Utah. Oregon has a beaver on the flag, so maybe a beaver would show up. Tall Red says it would be bluebonnets and mockingbirds. That would be interesting. And Arizona, according to Spencer, would be the sun itself. So
Yes, it would. That makes all the sense.
good luck
actually.
serving that subpoena. So those are some pretty good ones, but that makes about as much sense as what Brooks is doing here. This last little clip is about him. You know how they do the whole colloquy at the end of a trial where they want the defendant to, they check in with them, you know, if they're on any drugs or medication or on any drugs, or they have the right to testify, but they don't have to. And what's their decision in that? And are they being coerced? That whole thing. Well, he refused to participate in the colloquy completely. And after fighting with him about it forever, she just gave up and said, okay, well, it's clear you're not going to participate. So you are denying your right. You know, you're not going to testify. And he thought, you know, he'd found a way to win the game, because if he couldn't say yes or no, or wouldn't say yes or no, then maybe they couldn't go forward. And the judge is like, no, I'm giving you a lot of chances to participate in this, and you're not doing it. So she ruled that he had, you know, given up his right to testify, and this is his response to that.
Force me into my right to remain silent. So you're not going to protect my constitutional rights? Because I didn't answer nothing that you was trying to ask me before when I had the headphones on, and you can't make a decision for me. You can't do that. You're violating my constitutional rights.
Sir, if you'd like to testify, then you need to simply go through the colloquy with this court, which I've given you 3 opportunities to do, and you have decided not to.
No, you can't tell me what I decided to do, because I didn't decide to do or not do anything. I should be allowed to, then if that's the case, then I should be allowed to tell the jury what they need to know, which is the truth. That they have the power. They have the power to nullify laws they don't agree with.
You are absolutely not allowed to tell the.
He decided that what jury nullification is that the jurors can nullify any laws they want to if they don't agree with them. And so in his closing argument, he wanted to tell the jurors that if they didn't like a law, you know, about like murder and egregious assault, if they didn't agree with those laws, then they could just not follow them, and then they wouldn't have to convict him. I know this judge she's incredible.
Jury that. There's a jury instruction that I will have ready to go if you even attempt to raise the issue of jury nullification, sir. You have absolutely no right to raise that. That is clear under the law.
I can raise what I want to raise. You should be informed that you have the power to nullify any law that you don't agree with.
Objection. Move to strike this statement.
Sustained.
Objection.
I will strike from the record the last statement made by the defendant. The jury will disregard it.
Which is clearly what I've been saying. I believe that not only is it fair, but it's essential that you be privy to all knowledge, not knowledge that certain people feel that you should hear and shouldn't hear, disguised under the
All the knowledge in the universe, guys. All the knowledge.
All
Now,
of
let me
it.
make something really clear about Darrell Brooks. Darrell Brooks has a long history of mental health and substance abuse issues. He had a rough childhood. All those things are true. They also had him evaluated by 4 different nationally known forensic psychologists to confirm that this dude is 100% competent to stand trial. So, as bizarre as he comes across and the crazy stuff that he says, he's 100% he is competent. The judge went above and beyond, had him evaluated multiple times by multiple people. So did the state. To ensure that it is believed that before his attorneys were fired, that the prosecution or that the defense also had him evaluated, but that evaluation was never brought forward, which tells you that they found him competent. So don't think that he got a rough deal because he's crazy, because guess what, guys? He's not. He's actually really intelligent. And the judge had said, that he made some intelligent legal arguments and that he seemed to understand a lot of what was going on in court. It was just that he refused to participate in most of it. Just so bizarre, right? They don't want all the knowledge. I don't think that they need all the knowledge of the universe. I think that's unnecessary. The bar is low for competence. It definitely is. But this guy did all of this of his own free will. So I thought we would give the last word to, this is an outburst that he had during his sentencing. His sentencing hearing lasted 3 days. It was so brutal. But I'm just going to give you a little bit of his shenanigans and then some of what the press or what the judge had to say to him.
21, starting at around 1 p.m., the police got ready for the parade. The staging area was set up, and that was all along White Rock Avenue. Signs were put in place. Ultimately, barricades were put up at a number of locations on Main Street and surrounding that. We know, because we heard from Sergeant Warner about what he had done, and he had, right before the start of the parade, had driven down the parade route. It was on his shoulders, his responsibility to make sure everything was safe and in order. What's important about that staging area, sir, is we know that is where the altercation with Erica Patterson really came to a head. We all watched that video, multiple videos. And we know that even before that, you appeared angry and upset. 2 individuals testified about you being at that mobile gas station, how you turned the wrong way down a one-way street, waved your hands in the air, rolled down your window, either exchanged gestures or words with one of the drivers. Perhaps 30 minutes or so before the start of the parade, maybe an hour or so before you drove down the parade route. But what's important is the signage. Even you, at one point, I believe when you were talking with Detective Carpenter, noted, it was my words, my assessment, it was clear something was going on. I think what you said was a lot of shit was blocked off. You'd driven past those signs on the staging area. The fact remains they were there, sir. And the fact remains is you told Detective Carpenter that.
And when you hit the first body, you kept going.
and kept going and kept going. 7 minutes kept
Yeah.
going.
Accidents happen. This would have still been a terrible accident and something super stupid, but he just kept going and going. He didn't hit
Yeah, and
one
he blew
body
through the
and cram on
barricades.
the brakes and call 911 and be horrified. No, he just gunned it and kept moving.
Yep.
Heard from the witnesses related to Ms. Patterson. We heard from Corey Runkle. We heard from Erica Patterson herself. My impression, based upon Erica Patterson's testimony, who, by the way, she showed grace and dignity facing you, the man who clearly has no regard for her as a mother of one of your children, as someone you had a domestic partnership with and a relationship with at one point.
That's not true.
We know, and I would say this goes to your character, what was shown through that altercation and going up the hill, following her, slapping her. You know, the rules don't matter to you, not the rules of the road, not the rules established by court orders, not the rules even of decorum and decency. And I'll get to this more fully when I talk about your character. And I know you went hard at Attorney Opper for her bringing these things up, but those are legitimate, lawful sentencing considerations. And when I get to that point, I'll tell you the case law that supports that. Your character, even your pending cases.
I don't need no case law.
We know at the time of all of this, right, you were out on bond for 2 felony cases, one involving a handgun, one involving the same vehicle in Erica Patterson, and one involving ultimately intimidation of Ms. Patterson. We know that on November 20th, and she was very contrite about this, she told you where she was. She invited you out there, and that you had contact with her on the 20th. There was some physical.
Contact with her on the 20th.
Mr. Brooks, this is my time. You need to not interrupt.
That's the reason why the charge was dropped.
Mr. Brooks,
the state
you need to stop.
said specifically, wrote you, Your Honor, and said that they know it was no incident that day.
Mr.
And
Brooks,
now you want to sit up here.
do not interrupt me
you-
or you will be removed to the other
and now you
courtroom.
want to sit up here
Stop.
and try to
now.
add something in that you know for a fact never even happened. You want to sit up here
Mr.
and talk
Brooks,
about
every
who has
time-
grace and all this. You talking about someone with 5 kids that don't have custody.
You need to stop
None of
right
them.
now or you will be removed.
Remove me then.
All right? He will be removed. He cannot simply stay
I don't
quiet when
consent
this
to being
court talks.
sentenced anyway. I don't consent to this. Just like I told you, I don't know the.
We'll be in recess until he's
I don't
removed
even
to the other
understand
courtroom.
the true nature.
And lastly, but certainly,
Now, keep in mind that he's already been convicted at this point. This is this sentencing hearing.
Yeah.
He is going away for absolutely ever, and he knows it, and he is still this nasty and absolutely zero remorse. Now, I would gladly show you all of her remarks, but they are almost 3 hours long because she mentions every single victim and family member who testified, and then she mentions every single injured party with giving the name and sentence. 17 and a half years for every single injured party, and I think 25 for every murder. And then there's a bunch of different things, add-ons and different things. It goes on
Enhancements and
forever.
stuff, yeah.
Enhancements, that's the word I'm looking for. So many. It went on forever. So
Yeah.
I can't show it all to you because we just don't have that kind of time. But here is kind of the last of it.
certainly not least, the maximum sentence for the battery to Erica Patterson, 9 months consecutive to any other sentence. To order anything other than what I have done, sir, would be to unduly depreciate the seriousness of these offenses. It is needed, although largely symbolic, given the number of years that I have imposed here today, because frankly, you deserve it.
I know it's symbolic, but it needs to hold you accountable in a very real and tangible way. For all of these sentences that I have imposed, I will order the following conditions: no contact with the victims as identified in the amended victim key or their families, no contact of any kind with Erica Patterson. You are to pay restitution in the amount of $47,193.29 to EMC Insurance Company, that's on behalf of the Waukesha School District, and $124,000, $220.65 to the Crime Victim Compensation Program. I am ordering DNA surcharges on all counts. On counts 1 through 75, it's $250. On count 76, it's $200. Those are mandatory under the law. I'm also imposing the domestic abuse surcharge on count 76 of $100. I'm also imposing all standard court costs on all counts. Although my primary emphasis is that restitution be paid before costs, surcharges, and fees, I will order that restitution, costs, and fees be paid out of prison money. In other words, that all financial obligations shall be collected pursuant to statutory provisions as requested by the state. That's frankly a standard, it's customary, but it will be in the judgment of conviction. And then pursuant to 949.165, I'll find that it is appropriate for this court to order an escrow account under 949.165 for payment of restitution, costs, fees, surcharges, and even for costs associated with prior legal representation or future representation under the statute. Mr. Brooks has been convicted of a number of serious crimes for which this section is appropriate. I will order 360 days credit as to count 1 and count 68. Only, all other counts, 0 days credit because of the consecutive nature of these sentences that I've imposed here today. I calculated that with my sentence calculator. Of course, that is through yesterday because these sentences commence today. There are a number of advisements I must go through. First of all, Mr. Brooks will be provided with a written explanation of determinate life sentence regarding the first-degree intentional homicide charges, punishable as felonies. You also have from today's date to appeal the decision of this court. Does the state believe I've overlooked anything here today?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, those documents will be provided to Mr. Brooks.
And he doesn't get the last word because she kicked his ass to a room where they couldn't hear him.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what he was yelling?
Oh,
and
my God.
the fit he was throwing at the end of this?
Oh, I'm sure. Yep.
Yeah, the way that she ordered the like all the restitution money, holy shit. It's a lot. Yeah, dude's not getting any commissary anytime soon.
No.
Which, good. Doesn't
Yeah.
deserve any. But I loved it. One of the things I really appreciated about this case was that it was not lost on her that the day started with a domestic violence incident.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted Erica Patterson, who was the victim in that case, to be included and be considered a victim just like everyone else.
Yeah.
She said a lot of really cool things about Erica Patterson and his history of domestic violence and stuff. And to have all of those charges. And yes, almost all of them are consecutive. A few of them were concurrent, but the vast majority of his time was considered consecutive. And she was definitely going to throw in there the maximum she could on the battery of Erica Patterson. Which I really appreciated. She was so careful and intentional about including every single victim, and that it took days to know who all were victims in this case. Maybe even longer than days, because people who were injured, a lot of them just got themselves to a hospital because it was mass panic and pandemonium, and people killed, and people, very seriously injured. And so people with more minor injuries just kind of left, and then they kind of had to put out a call for, we need to know how many victims there are. And she said multiple times in this trial that they're still not even totally sure that they have all of the names. But as far as she knows, it's 76. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Six deaths, 70 injuries. Some very serious, all different levels of injury.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Karen, welcome. You watched the Brooks trial on the sentencing. Yeah, it was quite something.
Oh.
But it was the first time that I had seen a judge so masterfully handle someone like Darrell Brooks, and how careful she was to not let him derail this trial. This trial was going to go on. There was only going to be one trial. She was
She
not
appeal-proofed
going
this
to let him.
beautifully. Yeah.
She did. And I can't imagine. I mean, she should have taken like a year off when this was over. She actually got promoted right after it was over. But I cannot imagine. Yeah. Can you imagine what he's like in prison? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Rambles and shouts nonstop. I'm sure that he never does anything wrong either. And that, no one ever has subject matter jurisdiction in prison either, I bet.
Yep.
He probably does a whole lot of objecting as well.
Well, we know he's been a real asshole in prison. I know this is a surprise, but he got his ass kicked so badly that he was in the hospital and was moved to a different facility because things weren't going well for him.
Yeah. Can you imagine what he must be like to have to live around all the time, or to be a guard and have to work with this fool every day?
It can't be fun.
So it cannot be fun. But what I can say is that Darrell Brooks is never getting out of prison, and that's exactly what he deserves. And just have to give big props to Judge Dorow and to the prosecution team, who kept their shit together through that nightmare of a trial.
Yep.
They got justice for the Waukesha victims, and I've very much appreciated their professionalism.
Yep.
Because honestly, the prosecutors too, he'd be talking over them, and you could just tell that they wanted to just clobber him, but they didn't. Everybody kept their cool. So, because they were all thinking, we only want to have to do this trial once. It's going to be brutal. We don't want to do it more than one time.
And put all the witnesses through this more than once, all the victims through this more than once.
To put everybody through it would be so awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, send Darrell to be in Charlie Adelson's pad, right? Yeah. Yeah, we could think of some others. Well, I'm going to do one of these once a week because I think it's kind of fun, and to look back on these trials and kind of remember. And so keep an eye out for that every week, and then I'll be sharing it over on the Trials channel as well, because, man, we're always looking for a good trial to watch, but there have been many good trials to watch in the past as well, and this was definitely one of them.